Hello, my friends. Hello, my family. We are back again. What's poppin', people? We are back. Revolutionary Blackout. Friday Live. We are back. Welcome to RBN, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We have a lot to discuss and a lot to cover. Good news, we will be having Q and Hassan. They will be coming on tomorrow for our Saturday live. So we got a lot of great guests that we are continuing to work up. And we have a lot of great news in terms of projects that RBN is working on. I know in terms of local projects, I'm about to start a mutual aid organization in Kansas City. I'm already doing all the work behind the scenes to get that done. So the tour for report that we had in Kansas City was such a great success. We are going to continue that, and I wanted to discuss strategies on how we can move as a left wing movement, and I think there's a lot to be done right now. And one of the stories that we're going to cover today is a homeless camp that was defended by a group of armed civilians. So these are kind of things that the boutique left don't talk about, they don't discuss. But those are kind of strategies, like those are kind of militias that me and Rome we'll be talking about like how we can actually build a left wing movement. Anyway, we get there. Anyway, big shout out to the friends and the family that's in the chat. What's up, Dee Dee, my friend? How you doing, Zach? We got Savvy Sab, PJ is in the house. Welcome, everyone. Please like and share the stream. We got a lot to get into. Yeah, that's a CJ thumbnail for you guys. I'm not great at thumbnails, as you guys can tell. Our best videos usually come from CJ because he got great thumbnails, and those usually grab people's attention. I need to get better at that. I need my own personal thumbnail maker. But anyway, let's get started on one of the first things I want to talk about, a concept, because I talk about theory all the time. We talk about like why the things the way that they are right now. And if you don't know any sort of Marxist ideology or theory, man, things are really confusing for you. like people who are like capitalists who still believe in Western chauvinism and Western exceptionalism, they get blindsided by news like, oh my God, I can't believe the police would do that. Oh my God, we started World War III. I can't believe this is happening. Oh my God, Nancy Pelosi's credit. They get blindsided. Meanwhile, people who, like, if you read theory, if you understand the way the capitalists operate, if you understand the characteristics of late stage capitalism, none of these things are surprising to you, right? This question said, I just saw this on corner of my eye. Are you taking suggestions from the RBN community in terms of activism? Yes. In terms of content, also yes. We are building a community, and this is a very people power movement. So, any ideas that you guys have, I'm always all ears. Especially if you're in the Kansas City community, because we have these RBN chapters. We're gonna hold it down in Kansas City. But anyway, I want to talk about the characteristics of late stage capitalism. Things that doesn't surprise me about how our society turned out. Now, I made a lot of predictions about how the quality of Joe Biden and how he's going to be just like Trump, just as bad as Trump. And now there's all these people that are like blindsided by how horrific Joe Biden, especially young people who they vote for Joe Biden because they wanted to fight for climate change. The people that voted for Joe Biden because they was out in the street protesting for George Floyd, they're shocked. How can the Democrats let us down this way? David Hogg, holy shit. Even he's been fucking pilled. Fucking liberals are melting down at him because he just like many people just getting tired of milquetoast Democrats. And now this guy got a lot. Let me show you guys what I just saw not too long ago. Now, I don't need you guys to pop off on me in the comments. I know David Hogg has been a Democratic plant, arguably CIA. But he been on Twitter. I don't got the other tweets there. Maybe I should find it. But you guys see, say I burned a lot of bridges yesterday. My only regret is I didn't do it sooner. Because he essentially was saying, wonder if he still got the tweet up. he was essentially saying that Democrats suck. I don't want to go through this timeline. Holy shit. I know I do not want to go through this timeline. And liberals are melting down at him for saying this. Saying what we all knew, right? But my point is, the reason why I bring this up, because a lot of people who supported Democratic Party thinking that things was going to change, that somehow Trumpism scared the moderate Democrat, they've been shocked. Meanwhile, I'm not shocked at all. Every single thing I told you in terms of like Biden doubling down on Trump policies, I was warning people. I don't know what people expect, because as capitalism get worse, as people's material needs get worse, capitalists have strategies and mode of operandi in which they will operate on. For example, there are a lot of people who they voted blue. I don't understand why, but they were also at the George Floyd protest, and now they wondering why the Democratic Party is increasing the police. But we all know increasing the police is a solid characteristic of what a society would do that is no longer providing for its people. Now, let me show you guys, since I'm on this topic, I want to show you guys, this is the tweet I put out, and this is the basis for my initial monologue before we continue on, because we still got, we got some Ukraine that I'm going to cover today. Claire Daly is being smeared as a Ukrainian propagandist. I'm going to show you guys the latest Zelensky propaganda with Vogue magazine. We're going to go through that. And I'm going to show you guys why I'm going so hard the police state. They added it again, doing their role to protect Capitol. But this is what we're talking about right now, and why I'm not surprised by a lot of the things that we have seen in political discourse. So we got more and more people that slip into poverty. We have a global food crisis that's about to start. The strength of the American worker is weak, and corporations have taken over, and people are starting to realize that. But they still need to get people to vote blue. They still need to get people engaged in this red blue game. So to me, there's been obvious strategies that the capitalist class has been using, right? And this is what I tweeted out: the capitalist plan to manage late-stage capitalism. First, push Christian extremism and social issues to divide the workers and keep them fighting. There was a bunch of young conservatives and Republicans. I saw this viral image flowing around because a lot of them on Reddit was surprised that the Republican Party is going after gay marriage. There was a lot of them was upset. The biggest myth out there is that Roe v. Wade and abortion is some sort of divisive issue. It's not. Like, when you look at polling, Roe v. Wade is supported by around 70 to 75% of Americans, around 40% of Republicans, 4 out of 10. Not a great number, but it's a good number. 4 out of 10 of them support Roe v. Wade. So why do you guys think this escalation is rollback of Roe v. Wade? Why do you guys think they are going after gay marriage now? Why do you guys think there's been this escalating rhetoric against trans people? Why do you guys think the right wing has been obsessed with pushing anti-trans ideology? Why do you guys think they've been pushing and saying that all gay people are groomers? Why is there this assault now? The Republicans just voted against contraception. And a lot of people, even conservatives, like, whoa, what? They were doing stuff that's not even remotely popular, especially in this moment right now where the Democratic Party is weak. If the Republican Party just decided to not even just legalize marijuana, but even have decriminalization of marijuana on their platform, they will steamroll Democrats. All they had to do is pretend to be for the workers. You can make the small government argument for legalized marijuana, and the Democratic Party will be wiped out. But they don't do that. Roe v. Wade and them repealing that was a massive gift to the Democratic Party, because all polls show that Democrats was about to get wiped in 2022. So then the Republican Party decides to give the Democrats an amazing gift in terms of ramping up their strange social rhetoric. This is for multiple reasons. For one, we all know poverty breeds extremism. So as people's material needs worsen, they tend to engage in more extremist ideology. The Republican Party, knowing the status of the poor white working class, they were taking advantage of their poverty, which that leads to them to have more extreme ideology. This is the extreme. This is the rise of the extreme white nationalism you see among Trumpism. Now you can argue that was always there, but it's breeding. It's spreading like wildfire, right? So you have the Republican Party that is pushing these culture war issues as hard as possible. They want to fight over trans people in sports, even though there's like 10 trans athletes, right? And that's their main focus. Like if you look at Ben Shapiro's platform, what he been putting out there, the main focus has been the culture war, because they are trying to get people to fight. In this time where people are asking questions about the war machine, people are demanding worker rights and power, the best thing they can do is take the bigoted white person and be like, hey, yo, look at those gay people over there. Look at the woke agenda. Isn't the woke agenda destroying America? Look at the woke. Oh my God, they got a black guy playing this. It's always a distraction, which is designed to get people fighting. And there's one thing I want to say, and one concept that I always put out there that I truly believe, because this is a right-wing assault that the liberals are enabling, of course, to destroy worker solidarity. Now, the culture war is put out there to destroy worker solidarity. And what do I mean by that? I have been cleared. If you're a trans person and you're fighting against the rise of transphobic hate, if you are a woman and you're fighting for your right to make the decisions out of your body as possible, that is a fight that is worth fighting. There is no other political fight out there that is more worthwhile than you fighting for your rights, your basic rights, and your ability to be yourself. That is the most valid form of political struggle there is. If you are a random white dude that lives in Kentucky, where there's like maybe 10 trans people in the whole state, and you're doing nothing but tweeting, talking about, and pushing the trans issue, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, it'd be like, these people this issue does not affect you. Like, it's not something that should be a focus of yours. This is my biggest problem with Kim Iverson. Like, people pretend she's an ally, but the only thing she does is push the culture war. Tucker Carlson, all you do is push the culture war. They are doing that to divide the workers. It is not upon trans people and not upon a disenfranchised community to drop fighting for their liberation in order to get along with bigots. If the bigot decides that them being annoyed by trans people is worth destroying worker solidarity, that is on them. The people who fight, who push the culture war, talking about issues that don't affect them, they are the ones who destroy worker solidarity. And the right wing understand this. That's why they push the culture war nonsense out all the time to distract people and to get people fighting over shit that has nothing to do with them. So if you're a white dude in Kentucky, but you constantly talking about the trans issue, that has nothing to do with you. That's you trying to influence culture, which is a culture war. If you're a trans person and you fight for trans rights, that's you fighting for your rights. That's a fight for liberation, a fight against authoritarianism, which is very necessary. The people who push the culture war, the people who are trying to tell people how they should live, they are the ones who destroy worker solidarity. And people get it twisted a lot. Like, if you're a trans person, you don't want to work with someone who's a transphobe, people are like, oh my God, this is the culture war destroying worker solidarity. No, that's if you have the right to not let people in your spaces who you don't trust. So the trans person who decides to not work with the bigot on working class issues, that's not their fault. It's the bigot. So if you're the bigot, you should drop your prejudice. You should drop whatever annoys you about this culture war, because the struggle for the workers, the struggle to end the wars is way more important. Way more important. People ask me, Nick, how do you feel about trans people in sports? I don't give a shit. I unapologetically don't give a shit. There's like 10 trans athletes. Have you guys ever looked it up? There's like 10 trans athletes in the whole country. And people are destroying worker solidarity for that? Like, you guys see how there's no revolutionary discipline among the workers in this country? And we can't tolerate that. We can't tolerate that. So I wanted to make that point clear before I move on, because I don't want you guys to misunderstand what I'm saying. The establishment is pushing the culture war to distract the workers. The establishment pushes identity politics to distract the workers and get them to fight among each other. But we must have revolutionary discipline and not allow the ruling class to get our eyes off the prize. And there are many people who do this, who they focus so much on these culture wars, and then they want to blame like trans people, like, oh, how dare you not want solidarity with people who don't believe you should have the right to exist. The people who don't believe that trans people, aka workers, don't have the right to exist, they are the ones who are disrupting worker solidarity, because they can't expect a trans worker or their allies to be okay with that position. And the same goes for anything else. And that's always been in position in the channel. So I'm getting a little bit off topic, right? But I just wanted to let you guys know that's the pro-working class revolutionary discipline position. We need to have our eyes on ending the wars and improving material conditions. The culture, I don't give a fuck about. We should not give a fuck about the culture until people's material conditions are taken care of. That's why, like, I don't care what gender you call yourself. I don't care who you have sex with. I don't care about none of that shit. Let's just improve material conditions. And once we have a socialist communist society in which everyone is living to the highest of their means, then yes, then we can debate some culture shit. But we're not even there yet. So let me get back to my tweet. I just wanted to make that very important point. I need you to do a better job of pacing, so let's try to get through this. And then I get to the first story. So let's get back to the characteristics of late-stage capitalism. Here are the characteristics of late-stage capitalism. This is how capitalists plan to manage this recession. The Biden recession is here. And once again, as a Marxist, I'm like, what you guys call recession is just the ruling class signaling to themselves that the economy and their investments may not be as powerful. But recession, whatever, workers are going to be exploited no matter what. Poverty has been going up, whether they call it a recession or not. But hey, it's a good time to dig into the capitalists and let them realize that their system has been a failure. Now we in the Biden recession, and then once the Republicans take over, nothing's going to change. Then people are going to be asking questions again. So they got to manage this. They got to manage this empire crumbling. And this is their strategies. And there's definitely more. I'm just limited by Twitter characters here. So there's the plan. We just talked about the first one. The first one is to push extremism and social issues to divide the workers. That's why you got the Ben Shapiro's. That's why you got the Kim Iverson, the Tucker Carlsons. Those people out there just to push these issues to divide the workers. And even they can even say good stuff like they don't believe in war, or maybe we should have health care every once in a while. But as long as their modus operandi is to divide the workers, it doesn't matter what they say, because they're not advocating the political solution that we need. Second strategy that you're going to see capitalists use to further impose their dominance under late-stage capitalism is what Jim Crow Joe is doing right now. Drastically expand the police to fight social unrest. And now this, just like the last point, you guys notice why we don't fall for the red-blue game at RBN, because you guys notice how this is a bipartisan thing. All of this is bipartisan. Because they had people who mentored them on how to be powerful members of the ruling class that manipulate the public. So they learn these techniques from them. These are long-held techniques by capitalists. So as the material needs and conditions of workers and as people decrease, you're going to see that instead of addressing that issue, Instead of a rise of homelessness, instead of spending money addressing the homeless problem, which Democrats and Republicans, when they govern, they opt to spend more on anti-homeless infrastructure than just housing people, right? So instead of actually providing a pro-worker, a pro-human, a solution to the problems of our society rather escalate the police and our security state to keep people in line as our quality of life decrease, as the military and prison industrial complex roll back our rights. You guys see the difference? So Joe Biden not trying to give people health care. He's not trying to increase their wages. He's not trying to solve the climate crisis. He's not trying to do any of these things. He is proposing a new crime bill, literally the Crime Bill 2.0, which is bipartisan. The Crime Bill 2.0 spends literally more than the original crime bill did. In the 90s, the original crime bill was $30 billion. Joe Biden just proposed $37 billion for his new crime bill. And while that is happening, you have the Republicans who are pretending that Democrats are against defund the police, while Democratic mayors all over the country has unapologetically supported increasing police state all over the nation. And then you had the media that's saying that, oh, the crime is on the rise because defund the police, implying that the police already been defunded. So you had the media, you had the Republican, you had the Democrats that all for expanding the police. Right now, the United States have a record amount of police officers. Do you guys know that? The most police officers that this country has ever had right now. And Joe Biden is proposing that we add 100,000 more police officers. Let's see. I'm going to see how many police officers in the U.S. So this is the first number I found on Google. In 2020, we have, I'm going to round this up. I'm going to round the number up. In 2020, we had 700,000 police officers. The most we ever had. Biden is proposing that we add another 100,000 on top of that. Do you guys know how crazy that is? That's a giant increase. That is done because the ruling class know that their system is failing and people are ready to boycott and people are ready to challenge power in the proper way. Biden knows the protests are coming. The ruling class know the general strikes are coming. I want to show you guys what the ruling class really does. And let me just to illustrate this point, because there's still dummies who believe the police protect and serve. Let me show you guys this. This they had climate activists that have been protesting at in offices in Washington, D.C. And the police, instead of standing in solidarity with the workers, like just even saying that is ridiculous, right? Because we all know they won't. This is the job of the police. Here you can see the police protecting and serving the shit out of everyone there. These are climate activists explaining how there a climate emergency. Even after the police fascist thugs took their what was that flag? They took their signs away because they were at the congressional baseball game. They was at a congressional baseball game protesting the ruling class. And you see the police, their first instinct is to protect the feelings of the ruling class and to shield the ruling class from the people they're protesting, the members of Congress. Now do you guys see why Democrats and Republicans are for expanding the police? They know the role of the police. The police is there to protect them. Look at this one. Look at this tough guy. Look at this motherfucker. But y'all see this dude? He is snatching them away. What is up with that attitude? Do you guys see why all cops are bastards? The reason why all cops are bastards is if you're a police officer and you see climate activists and you get an order to squash the protest and silence them, and you don't decline, if you don't say I'm not going to follow that order because that goes against our mandate, you are a bad cop. There are no good cops that was at this scene. You guys want to see the energy that this fucking fascist had? Look at this dude. You guys see the mentality of what it takes to be a police officer? Does it look like he's protecting and serving those people? No, he's protecting and serving the members of Congress. That's why we said you're not going to build a working class movement with the police. They will always side with the empire because they are natural born bootlickers. And the ones who are not will be fired or demoted. Here's another one. This got tweeted out last night. Several people protested for urgent climate action at the congressional baseball game. This is how the police responded to one of them. He said, note the difference between this and how they respond to literal fascists. Look at this. Look at how many police officers it takes. Look at these fucking pussies, man. Look, it takes all. Does this look like a good spending of our money, guys? Does this look like safe? Does this look like a group of people providing community safety? Going after people who are protesting and demanding the ruling class do something about climate change? I just want to illustrate that to you guys. Can you guys see why expanding the police is such an important task for the ruling class as things continue to get worse? So these are characteristics of late-stage capitalism. You have the rise of extremism, the establishment pushing social issues, the rise of Christian nationalism. You have the expansion of the police state, as I just covered. You guys see the role that they play. And you guys see the last one I put, which is very relevant. Push for endless foreign conflict so people can focus on fighting the other. So the plan of the Democratic Party is not to actually follow through on their campaign promises, not to give you guys a public option, not to give you guys Medicare for all, not to increase the minimum wage, not to do anything about the homelessness problems. Their job, what they're focused on right now, including the progressives, including Bernie Sanders, including Ro Khanna, AOC, Ilhan Omar, they're not fighting. They're not marching in the streets to give you guys health care. They're trying to start World War III with China and Russia. Because they don't want you, and people get mad at me because I have revolutionary discipline, and I am only willing to criticize people that we got power over. The number one enemy of workers and humanity globally, the U.S. empire. I am holding my empire accountable by calling out their role in the Ukraine war and escalating this new Cold War. But the Democratic Party and Republican Party and the ruling class that continues to fail you, they want you to have Putin derangement syndrome. They want you to think that Vladimir Putin is the source of all your struggle, the problem with America. Putin is the enemy. So, just like Zelensky himself said, you're American. We got to take economic sacrifices. We got to suffer. Jake Sullivan and a lot of these people in the Biden administration was asked about spending money on the Ukraine war instead of taking care of people at home. And they said this is the sacrifice that American people had to make in order to stand up against Putin. You guys see what this strategy and why this is so important? This is a strategy that is not new. The U.S. empire did not create it. Every single empire relied on extending their war machine while people continue to starve, and they want people to have a sense of national pride due to their conquest, due to being afraid of the other, right? That has been something the Roman Empire did, the old French Empire did, the UK Empire, all these empires throughout humanity. They, instead of you focusing on the crimes that your ruling class doing to you, they want us to blame Putin. Like John said, like Putin stole our gas. They're the kind of mindset that they want us to have. Now, Ro Khanna, the Democratic Party, wants us to hate China. They want us to hate China. They want us to hate Russia. And liberals hate my guts because I had the nerve to say, it's not Putin. It's not Xi from China that's killing my people en masse. It's not them that is locking us up. It's not them that's stealing our wealth. And that was the message that was coming from Putin. And that's why they never showed no speeches from Putin. Because Putin straight up told people that if you guys think that it's us that is the source of our problems, you're mistaken. The United States, the UK, want us to blame the other. They want us to focus on fighting the other instead of us banding together as a global working class movement and holding the ruling class motherfuckers accountable. And that's even the progressives. They want us to focus on Taiwan, Ukraine, instead of Jim Crow Joe. Bernie Sanders want us to think that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal and a tyrant, but not Jim Crow Joe. So that's, and I want to ask you guys, what's some more, like what did I miss? Because I put those three, the three that I put up here, which I thought was the most important. But unlimited by character limits. I would say there's more strategies and characteristics of late stage capitalism, but based on what I'm seeing right now, because as a Marxist educator, and as all of us who are educating people on anti-capitalism and worker solidarity, it's our job to not only just take old theory and what old people say, but we must apply it to what is going on today. So I took what the issues and struggles that is going on today, and this is what's going on, and this is the strategies and implementation of late-stage capitalism. If I miss anything, if there's anything else important, make sure you guys leave a comment, especially if on this live stream, because I definitely will read them if I have missed anything. There's another point that I want to bring up here, because I want to get back to this here. A key component of the ruling class maintaining worker domination. There are a lot of people who believe that there's this right-wing populist movement. Let me say this with 100% authority. You are not a populist if you support the pigs, these fascist, anti-worker pigs. You guys see what the job of the police? They're just one instance, right? This is just one example, but whether we trying to hold the prison industrial complex accountable, Wall Street accountable, big oil accountable, no matter what we do, the police will always be here. So if you back the blue, you can't call yourself pro-worker. You can't call yourself a populist. And also, a question I have, where is the free speech warriors on the right on this issue? The position of our being, we are not pretending that there's this mythical right-wing populist movement that exists, that does not exist. Because these right-wingers who claim they're for free speech, and I've explained this concept many times, their concept of free speech is literally just saying slurs on social media. That's it. They don't stand with the BDS movement. The Ron DeSantis essentially making so you got to beg permission for the government to protest. Radio silence from free speech activists for that, on the right, that is. Radio silence on the issue of Julian Assange. And this is a free speech issue. They are showing up to members of Congress and expressing their speech here. And I am asking the free speech advocates on the right, what gives the police here the right to suppress their free speech? But once again, because people swear to God that conservatives believe in free speech. They don't. Conservatives want the right to say racial slurs and be offensive on social media. They are all for using authoritarianism and cracking down on speech that they do not like. So personally, guys, I've been driven crazy. I was driven. You guys saw my coverage of the whole Elon Musk buying Twitter nonsense and the right wingers pretending on the free speech. I'm not going along with it. I'm not. That is unconstitutional. I've seen some people in the chat. There is nothing legal about what the cops did. That was a violation of the free speech. But who imposes the law? Who enforces the law, I should say? The police do. So if you're pro cop, you're not free speech. You're not for free speech. Are we clear? People on the right wing believe that in order to protest the government, you need government permission. That's what Ron DeSantis did. I saw right wingers defending Ron DeSantis cracking down on free speech. They're like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't protest at their homes. Their homes. You're making them feel uncomfortable. You're making the ruling class feel uncomfortable. You can't do that." No, that's serious, guys. Tucker Carlson did a segment on that. It was like the crazy Antifa left-wing mob protesting at the home of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is just taking your rights away. They only just doing a little bit of rights taken away. They're taking your First Amendment, your Fourth Amendment rights away. They're taking your body autonomy away. And then Tucker Carlson did a statement on Fox News like, the Antifa far left, you must obey the law. You can't protest at their homes? And then people think that these people are populists. What the fuck is populist about the idea that we gotta beg for permission to protest? If we gotta beg for permission to protest by the government, that is not a protest. That's a prep rally. So we will be way more popular if we pretended that people on the right was like, there are people that you gotta know what I'm talking about. The people that say stuff like, "Oh yeah, free speech, Elon Musk, yeah, these people believe in free speech, Ron DeSantis believe in free speech," and then they get like right-wing clicks or whatever. That we're not doing that because we actually got skin in the game. We don't have the privilege of being unserious on RBN. I believe in free speech. That's why I cover the issues that I do. I cover the reporters that are censored for covering journalism. I cover the BDS crackdown. I cover Ron DeSantis crackdown on free speech. I cover Julian Assange over and over again. The right wing, they only cover when some random motherfucker no one cares about get banned on Twitter. Jordan Peterson was banned on Twitter. This is assault on free speech. But then Ron DeSantis will crack down on BDS and they will support it. We had enough. I should have changed my banner already. But you guys see the police job to serve the ruling class. Damn, I'm supposed to change that. Let's get into some chats, and I got some more stories for you guys. I guess I'll rip the police more. I got some more police receipts. Yeah, legal protests are the only ones that are easy to ignore. Sri Lanka lit the homes of their politicians on fire. Do you guys think they was allowed to do that? Tucker was born a millionaire, not a populist. Yep. You know the state of the working class and the left is weak. It's whack as fuck when people are looking towards a millionaire pundit. That's how fucked we are as the American working class. People will look to a millionaire pundit and think he's the friend of the world. Like, dude, we are fucked. We are so fucked that the fact that people believe that. He wants Cold War with China. Sorry, I haven't been able to read the chats. I know I miss a lot. Conservatives know how to be single issue people. Yep. Capitalists can directly pay cops for U.S. for protection. That's what detail is. The cops literally work directly for the capitalists. Well said. If you guys have anything that you guys really want me to read, please leave a super chat. Disarming workers is a symptom of late-stage capitalism. Absolutely. A lot of great comments in here. I miss a lot of them. Our comments is pretty base. Comments pretty base as always. Let's do an episode of Cop Watch. Do you guys want to do Cop Watch? Let's do Cop Watch. I got a hard exit at 4, so I got another 50 minutes. I need to speed the fuck up. I need to speed up. So let's do Cop Watch. To let you guys know who the Democrats are actually trying to fund. So Rome used to do these segments. I love doing these segments because once you understand who the police are, it becomes even less rational, the idea that we're going to fund them more and reform them. So I want to show you guys this here again. Look at this fucking guy. This was my first reaction when I saw this. Like, look how enthusiastic this guy is in terms of cracking down on the freedom of speech of these climate activists. Why would anyone believe we could reform a institution that would track these sickos? So let me show you guys this here, because this was a story that was making the rounds of this cop being she was caught saying the N-word once again. So this lady who trained police officers, who was a longtime police officer, she goes on this rant where she explains how much she hates black people and the people that she is protecting and serving. So I want you guys to ask yourself, do you guys feel safe with this person having a gun, the person I'm about to show you guys? So on this episode of Cop Watch, let's start with this one here and show you guys who the liberals think we can reform.
Now at 11, racial slurs made by a Cincinnati police officer in uniform. Recently released body cam footage here shows Rose Valentino using a racial slur and also admitting to it.
WCPO 9 News reporter Jake Ryle walks us through this footage.
The city manager in a statement said that the body camera footage is disturbing. Officer Rose Valentino called it an isolated incident.
Cars are parked to pick up students at Western Hills University High School. Officer Valentino activated her lights and siren to get the drivers to move.
You gotta move. Ridiculous. Is she gonna just sit there?
A black teen who was leaving school raised his middle finger at Officer Valentino, which set Valentino off.
Oh, I hate him so much. God, I hate this world. Hate it.
Several seconds pass. Valentino then uses a racial slur under her breath.
Hate him.
We dug into.
Real quick. Do you guys see what she said? I fucking hate this world, man. Fucking hate him. I hate him. Dude, let me play this part again. And does this seem like the kind of person that you trust having a gun? Does this seem like the kind of person who's mentally stable enough to have a gun? Let me play that meltdown once again and realize that this person is patrolling our streets with a fucking gun. And then after you guys watch this meltdown again, they're gonna explain who this person was. This wasn't like a small police chief. This person trained other police officers. A 14-year-old veteran of the police department. What do you guys think this person was doing during their 14 years of patrol? So let me mute my audio and then we play it again.
A black teen who was leaving school raised his middle finger at Officer Valentino, which set Valentino off.
Oh, I hate him so much. God, I hate this world. Hate it.
Several seconds pass. Valentino then uses a racial slur under her breath.
Hate him.
We dug into Officer Valentino's personnel file. She's a 14-year veteran with CPD. Her performance report shows she consistently meets or exceeds standards for patrolling. She trains officers who recently graduated from the academy. Her supervisors say she's dedicated and a hardworking beat officer, adding she comes to work with a positive, motivated attitude, which is appreciated, and that she does great work. She's been reprimanded in the past for not not turning on her body camera multiple times. And this is not the first time Officer Valentino has been on the city's radar for an issue involving race. In November 2018, she was one of 3 police officers involved in a lawsuit where Jerry Isham, a realtor, was showing a home to Anthony Edwards. Both are black. Court docs show she escalated the situation by aiming her gun at the 2 men and then putting them in handcuffs. The city settled the case for $151,000. And in March 2020, while off duty, she pushed and punched 2 family members and used an umbrella to damage a car. She was convicted by plea of disorderly conduct and was referred to a behavioral health center for anger management. Fast forward to the April.
That was the person who was training new police officers on the force for 14 years. She's like, I fucking hate this world, man. I fucking hate it. I hate the world. That person is protecting and serving. The person that is using racial slurs in a meltdown. Now, I do stuff like stub my toe, right? I have people upset and frustrate me, but I'm not slinging racial slurs when I get upset. And the police department was like, oh, this is an isolated incident. She was upset. And let me say this. The black kid who flicked her off, base as hell. And that meltdown that she had, we need to make all these cops meltdown like that. We need to make it socially unacceptable to have that job. And you guys saw she was in a few incidents, racial hatred incidents, including one case where she pointed a gun and assaulted these people, and the city had to settle that. And when they settle those cases, do you guys think that she's paying for it? No, it's you that's paid for it. Guys, you know how crazy this is? That the cops they engage in transgressions against the workers and against our community. They engage in violence against our community. And then we, the taxpayer, had to pay for that. Do you guys know how crazy this system is? On another episode of Cop Watch, let's do one more. Then we gotta move on. I saw this called Blue Moon. My friend Lucy tweeted this out. And I saw this in the news. There was this sheriff that allowed these women in this Indiana jail to get raped. This is a crazy story. And this is why we do not trust the prison industrial complex or anyone who wants to do this job. 20 other women, they lodged a lawsuit against Sheriff Jamie Noel in both his individual and professional capacity. And I do want to put a trigger warning because this is pretty intense. This is crazy. These are our officers. These are the people that are in charge of our prison industrial complex. 28 female Indiana inmates were subjected to a night of terror where they were sexually assaulted and 2 was raped by dozens of male prisoners who bribed an officer with $1,000 to get them access to the women's ring. They were in a place of security where male inmates barged in. There were buttons inside the door in case of emergencies in the main pod to let the jailers know, and nothing. So pretty much the police and the sheriff on the inside was working with the criminals. The same way the LAPD was caught working for criminals and pretty much being criminals themselves. So does this seem like the institution that can be reformed? Don't the people who believe that they can reform this shit, don't they seem delusional? Don't they seem complicit in this? Yeah, 1K, I want to take 1K to bribe some cops. So if you guys wondering why RBN we have the radical position on policing that we do, you guys see. You guys see. So I really need to get to the next one because I got a hard stop 90 minutes in. So Let's see. What should be the next story I do? Oh, I guess let's do shit, because I'm trying to figure out what's that. I'm gonna do this one. I guess we do the I do the Supreme Court one. Let's do all right. Let's do my next story. I know which one. I may have to save some other stories for tomorrow. So let's do this one. Which one do I have? Let's see. Let me make the banner. Cause Biden. Okay. So the ongoing theme of this channel is that not the Republican Party is better than the Democrat Party. Not the Democrat Party is better than the Republican Party. Our argument, and I think I do a good job being persuasive at this. This is why the liberal establishment and me, blue checks on Twitter, they hate my guts. Because I do a good job exposing both parties of being one of the same. Any differences that they have, those differences serve a purpose, right? They are serving, they're doing their role in maintaining the facade of the two-party system, right? And one thing that made this 100% clear is their stance on state violence. Like, once you focus on foreign policy, state violence, like if you look at the Department of Homeland Security and the Democratic Party policies towards that and the Republican Party policies towards that, that's when the facade starts to go away. That's when you start, and that's what I start noticing, like, oh shit, both parties believe in the same thing. They all believe in neoliberal capitalism. They believe in a harsh regimentation of society, which is one of the definitions of fascism. They believe in giant military budgets, and they believe in harsh immigration and border policies, which is completely unnecessary, especially if you're a friend of the global working class. So I remember under Donald Trump, everyone was melting down about kids in cages, right? Everyone was melting down about Title 42. And that was the thing that liberals pretended that they cared about. The thing that made Trump uniquely worse than Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who has killed millions with their policies and waged unbelievable amount of destruction through their policy. No matter what we said to these people, the reason why Donald Trump was worse was because his border policy. The fact that he was turning away asylum seekers in the middle of a pandemic, that is what made liberals call him a fascist above all else. And then Biden and the Democratic Party challenged Trump on the kids in cages. They challenged Trump on DHS. And then we, the Marxists, the leftists, the only serious people in politics, we kept bringing up the fact that, hey, you know it was Barack Obama who built the kids in cages? You know, Joe Biden and Barack Obama built the system that Donald Trump used. We will bring that up to people. And then people are like, oh, man, that's in the past. How dare you use what a politician did in the past as a basis for you not supporting them now? So then Biden took over, and then he continued deporting asylum seekers, expanding Title 42, just like Trump, kept Mexico remain in Mexico policy. And ever since until now, the Democratic Party has been using the courts as an excuse on why. Now, the Democratic Party dragged their feet. There were a lot of pressure mechanisms they could use, but they used the courts as the reason why they couldn't 100% revert Trump policies. Now we have this. Now that you got caught up to speed. So after weeks of pretending that it was the courts is the reason why Biden is deporting more people than Trump, the Supreme Court called his bluff. The Supreme Court called his bluff, like, man, I'm tired of y'all motherfuckers blaming us. So they gave the Biden administration the power to get rid of the remaining Mexico policy. And as you guys see, as reported by Politico, Biden goes silent after SCOTUS gives him power to nix Trump immigration policy. Jim Crow Joe does it again. Oh, maybe I should, yeah, I got the right banner. So let me just read the first two paragraphs. Last month, the Supreme Court cleared the way for the Biden administration to unwind a Trump-era policy that has forced thousands of asylum seekers. See, I don't know why they keep calling it a Trump-era policy if Biden continued it. And I'm just saying it as a nitpick because I see the media do this all the time. Like almost every single Biden policy, they will lead. They'll say Biden continuing Trump-era policy. At what point does it stop becoming a Trump-era policy and it becomes a Biden-era policy? We are literally 2 years in. This is not a Trump-era policy. This is a bipartisan policy. I just want to bring that up because that's just a small propaganda technique that they use. That to me is easy to point out. But having previously moved quickly to end the Remain in Mexico policy, this is when the Supreme Court was blocking it. They was like, "Oh, we want to end it, but it's the courts." So now the court granted them permission to end it. Now the administration suddenly decided to take its time. Of course. The White House and the Department of Homeland Security has been mum on their plans following the Supreme Court ruling. Immigration advocates asking about next steps have been met with a similar silence. In that void, a question has emerged. What exactly is the holdup? The silence from the administration is the latest tension point between the president and immigration activists frustrated by Joe Biden's failure to deliver on the promises he made as president during his campaign. If only you guys had someone, if only there was a channel, if only I was one of the people that was warning people about this. We was telling people that Biden built this immigration system. They built DHS. He literally built the kids in cages. Why would he get rid of it? Why would he get rid of the Remain in Mexico policy? Why? While pieces of the Biden administration agenda have been blocked by the courts, they argue the president has also ducked such tough issues for political expediency. Do you guys see how the Democratic Party, they are continuing all of Trump-era policy? I didn't have this saved. Let's see if I can find it. Because the Biden administration, I have been covering the Iran deal since day one. Everyone completely forgot about it because that was something that Bernie Sanders talked about all the time. We got to vote for Joe Biden because Joe Biden's going to get back into our Iran deal. Once again, Biden continue another Trump-era policy, which is a Biden policy. Hopefully I can look. Scoop. Biden advisors said return to the Iran deal highly unlikely. Another Trump promise another promise Biden made not kept. Biden essentially promised to reverse the scourge of Trumpism, but he continued the Trumpism in all of its forms, including funding the police more and introducing a new crime bill. So now that you guys see the story that I just did, now I want you guys to look at anyone who suggests that we vote for these people in 2022 sideways because they're coming. Bernie Sanders is about to campaign for Joe Biden again, despite the fact that Joe Biden continued and expanded all the policies that made Bernie Sanders call Trump a fascist. Now you guys understand why these people are not good faith actors? All right, I really want to get to the next story. I got maybe 30 minutes left. And then I got a prior engagement I'll get to. So let's get to this next story now, read some chats. The Ukraine war is probably the most propagandized war. And I had a conversation with Margaret Kimberly. She said the same thing when we was talking. The Ukraine war is probably the most propagandized war. Well, let me change the banner. Let's put this, let's just say cringe Zelensky propaganda. Because I'm sure you guys seen this already. But does it seem like the side that has facts on their side? Does it seem like a side that is doing anything other than just emotional manipulation in order to justify their geopolitical agenda? Now, imagine being the shit lib that this works on. This is a screenshot I got from Twitter because it was trending on Twitter that day. But this was all over the news of Zelensky in Vogue magazine. And now this is from Telegram. You guys see Telegraph World News. And I'm just asking you guys, who do you guys think this propaganda is geared towards? Volodymyr Zelensky and wife Olena Zelenska. I think that's kind of hilarious. War is making our love stronger. Boy, you guys know that shit libs, the Ukraine flag, shit libs, they saw this headline. It was like, yes, they are just like a Disney couple. It's amazing. Because think about what this propaganda. This propaganda is designed to elicit emotional feelings out of people, so we don't ask questions about why we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. Why are we fighting a proxy war while our people are starving? Zelensky said in a recent quote when he was asked about what the American people, the European people struggling because of sanctions put on Russia, and he was like, "Tough shit. I don't give a fuck." So in order to get people to vote against their own interests and engage in this sham against their own interests, they have to pull on people's heartstrings with ridiculous propaganda like this. Once again, imagine the kind of person that this works on. And they are becoming more desperate. Why do you guys think they have to rely on massive censorship? Because this is a conflict that the West is quickly losing favor on, especially as people's life continue to get harder. At first, there were people that was propagandized when the war first started, like, hell yeah, we got to stand free. But as this war dragged on, now people are asking the questions that I have asked since this war first started. Why are we sending all this money to Ukraine? What is the end goal? How can Ukraine possibly defeat? Like, what is the point of us engaging in this conflict, especially considering the West started this conflict by expanding NATO? So we are being sanctioned by our government because our ruling class wants to expand NATO because they want to expand the arms market and get into Sweden, Finland, and the rest of Eastern Europe. They want this militaristic domination and the expansion of NATO in order to fight the new Cold War against China and Russia. NATO even said that their primary objective, their NATO 2030 initiative, as they call it, is escalating tension with China. But the global working class is supposed to struggle in order to facilitate this strategy on behalf of the ruling class. So as they are losing favor of people in pushing this Ukraine conflict, they got to do stuff like censor people. That's why you're seeing people being demonetized. You have a German reporter who is being sentenced to prison for 3 years for having the audacity of reporting Ukrainian war crimes. And now you got the Ukrainian government that putting people on blacklists. People YouTube pages being pulled down. This censorship is done because the ruling class know their position is unjustifiable. Is reprehensible, actually, when you think about it. They're destroying the global economy, this controlled demolition of the economy, in order to expand NATO, in order to deliver Russia a geopolitical victory. And now most people realize this. Most people are starting to realize this as the support for the Ukraine war dies down. So the Ukrainian propagandist has been going after the people who are speaking the truth. And one of the people that have been speaking the truth was Claire Daly. And Claire Daly was smeared by Ukraine. Let me show you guys. This is a tweet from Claire Daly because the Ukraine put her on the list. I think Glenn Greenwald is on that list as well. They put up They put anyone on that list. Aaron Mate was put on this list. The Ukrainian propagandists are putting these people on these blacklists, these smear lists. Let's read this headline. Claire Daly responds after Ukraine put her on a list of people who allegedly promote Russian propaganda. So they put these people on these lists. And why? And the reason why I'm pulling this up, because the fact that they put Claire Daly on this list of Russian propagandists, I know what you guys are probably asking right now. Like, what did she say? Let me read her response to being put on this Russian propaganda list. The Liberal just melted down because Noam Chomsky called out the West as being more pro-censorship than the Soviet Union, as they are the number one threat to free speech. Noam Chomsky called that out. And stuff like this is why. The fact that you're never going to see Noam Chomsky on MSNBC, CNN talking about the Ukraine war is why. The fact that you're never going to see Aaron Mate on CNN, on MSNBC, talking about the Ukraine war is why. Claire said, disappointing but not surprising. Increasingly repressive Zelensky government doing smear campaigns on international figures, refusing to toe the line, stripping labor rights, banning opposition parties and independent media, rounding up with dissidents and now blacklists. And this is the massive pressure campaign that the Biden, the Tories in the UK, France, Emmanuel Macron just met with Saudi Arabia. Emmanuel Macron just met with Saudi Arabia to normalize their relationships. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Macron is trying to destroy the French working class in order to fund this proxy war. Now, let's listen to some things that Claire Daly has said that has put her on the shit list of Ukrainian propaganda. Let me pull the video. Here are some of the insane pro-Russian takes of Claire Daly.
Thank you, President. The so-called Eastern Partnership region is a diverse group of states sandwiched between the EU and Russia, and we talk about threats to their security while replicating the policies which contributed to their insecurity in the first place. And even before the war in Ukraine, the text of this report was radically unacceptable to our group. Needlessly confrontational and provocative, oblivious to Russian security concerns, bullish about extending EU influence. And of course, since the war, instead of scrapping this failed policy, the jet engines have been nailed onto every part of it. And yet militarism on one side merely feeds militarism on the other. And this report is now a gold rush for defence interests. Blank cheques are being written for the arms industry. MEPs are rubber stamping an historic shift towards a militarised EU. Opposition is discouraged, hardly existent. And we couldn't amend this report, so we had to produce a minority one because this report calls for aligning with NATO, providing lethal weapons to a conflict, increasing defence spending. It's a path to armament and imperialist rivalry, and it's unacceptable to us.
Nothing wrong with what she said. In fact, everything she said is incredibly based. Now let's play this one as well, and let's see why else is Ukraine upset with her.
Onorevole Daly, ha facoltà di replicare.
Thanks, colleague. I would love colleague Jambaski to tell me any circumstance in which NATO has played a productive role or delivered peace anywhere. History has taught us that sanctions do not end military conflicts. They do not bring peace. They make the people suffer, not the oligarchs, the people of Russia, the people of Europe. And they're not going to help save lives, because the more arms you pump into Ukraine, the more the war will be prolonged, the more Ukrainians will die. And it might sound radical, colleagues, but the answer to war is not more war, it's peace. And peace isn't delivered by the barrel of a gun. It's delivered by diplomacy, by dialogue. You can wish away your continent's history, but we share a continent with Russia. We will sit down with Russia. There will be a negotiated peace, and this organization should be promoting it earlier rather than delaying it and making sure that more Ukrainians die. Your feigning of sympathy rings hollow. It makes me sick, to be honest with you.
So there's Claire Daly calling for peace. Calling for peace. Calm heads. Diplomacy. That is what got her put on the Ukraine Russian asset list. Guys, on the last two, and those two clips I showed you, did anything that you said seems unreasonable? She called for peace in Ukraine, like, oh my God, Russian propagandists. Do you guys see how unhinged the Ukrainian side is? That person is deemed a Russian agent. And let me say this. For anyone who believes that people like AOC is anywhere near an ally, our question is, why do I have to look to the Irish for someone to say something that's obvious? Compare to what we just heard from Claire Daly to the fact that AOC is voting to expand NATO. Do you guys see the difference between a real left representative versus what we have in the United States? A bunch of pro-NATO goons. Everyone voting for NATO. All of them voting for the U.S. Domestic Terrorism Act. They helping fund the Iron Dome. That's who we got. That's the squad. Compare that to Claire Daly. Compare that to Lula da Silva, and compare what Lula said. When Lula called out and said this is Zelensky's and NATO's war. He said Putin shouldn't have invaded, but he said default is on NATO for escalating this. And he called for peace. Lula, the leftists in Brazil, called for peace. Claire Daly in Ireland calling for peace. In the United States, we get AOC in the squad who votes to expand NATO. Do you guys see why we don't consider them to be our allies? Compare Claire Daly to AOC. It's even laughable just to say, right? Now, let me I'm gonna show you guys this. Why it's so important to call for peace. First I'm gonna call this part threats of nuclear war and famine. So Shit Lives called me a Putin puppet, right? Because I got the audacity to call for peace. Apparently Claire Daly is a Putin puppet because she called for peace. Anyone who calls for peace is smeared as a Putin puppet in the West. Meanwhile, these are the warnings that we were getting from serious people. Check this out. UK advisor warns of nuclear war risk amid communication breakdown. I actually have the video version of that. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Of the UK guy warning about nuclear war. Here it is. Is this someone else? General. Yeah, I think that's the same guy. It's a quick video. Let me show you guys what they're saying. And this is why that we had the narrative that we do on the Ukraine war. Not because I don't give a fuck about Putin. We're not Putin puppets. I'm not cheering for the capitalist Russia. We are rooting. We try to prevent nuclear war. This is UN Secretary General warning about nuclear war.
Developments. The prospect of nuclear conflict, once unthinkable, is now back within the realm of possibility.
The concept of nuclear war is a strong possibility because you got the West that is that is begging for it, that's edging it on. For years, China, Russia, Iran have been extremely patient and level-headed dealing with the insane West. Look at what China is doing. Sorry, look at what Nancy Pelosi, Mike Pompeo, Marco Rubio, the bipartisan consensus doing to Taiwan, breaking their long-standing tradition of respecting the one China policy, which normalized relations with China in the 70s. That was their condition. In China, just like they did in Russia, just like Russia did in Ukraine, put the line in the sand here. You guys must respect the one China policy. You guys do not respect our sovereignty by supporting the separatists in Taiwan. That's the same thing that Russia did when they put their red line at no more NATO expansion eastward. And despite the fact that the West broke that promise over and over again, Russia showed restraint. Ukraine was the red line, and then the West was like, what are you going to do about it, pussy? You're not going to do anything about it. Now, China put the red line on Taiwan and Nancy Pelosi trip, and then they probably will have to back down again because China and Russia are saying, and the United States is willing to flex its power even at the risk of a nuclear war. That's why the nuclear threat is all-time high. Because at a certain point, Russia and China is like, where's the fucking line? How often can you guys back out treaties? Not give your word. Like they back out and they broke the Iran deal. Constantly breaking treaties and promises. And then shit libs, liberals, and people who pretend they're anti-imperialists, they get mad at Russia and China for having a red line. You guys realize that is what they get? How dare Russia and China express their sovereignty? That's an unrealistic expectation. Because the reason I say that, because if anyone did what NATO did to the U.S., like imagine if Russia and China was arming Nazis who was anti-America on the Mexico and Canadian border. They would not accept that. They would not accept that. And we all know that the United States or any country in the history of humanity would not accept Western U.S. aggression like the way that Russia, China, and other countries just had to accept it over the last few decades. So where's the line? Backing up, like this has been a long-standing U.S. policy. That's not my tanky position. And not my tanky position saying Taiwan and China. That is the position of the United States. Once again, think about what the United States would do if we had a Russiagate. Imagine if Russia literally was caught because they had CIA presence in Taiwan. The United States, as reported by the Gray Zone, was popping up Taiwanese separatist movements. But despite the fact that the United States did that, influenced, powered, and propped up separatist movements in Taiwan, China still showed restraint. Imagine if Russiagate was real. And I'm not talking about the pussy-ass Russiagate that they're talking about. Imagine if Russia financed a Texas separatist movement. They would imprison anyone who was caught. For one, anyone in the United States that was caught doing that would be imprisoned. For one, like, look at how the liberal class melts down at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Imagine if it was found out that Marjorie Taylor Greene was financed by Russia or China. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene led a separatist movement. Imagine if, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't even that extreme as far as I know. But imagine if Marjorie Taylor Greene, with all her craziness, was like, let's secede from the United States, and then it was found out that she was being funded by Chinese intelligence. That is what the United States did to Taiwan after breaking the long-standing policy, the one China policy, which China has said for years and years and years is their red line. That is the thing that will destroy good relations. That will put the military pointing at us. But the position of the United States is, I dare you to do it, pussy. I dare you. But people think they're the good guys. People expect Russia and China and these other hostile foreign powers to constantly back down to the West. And if they don't back down to the West, they are viewed as the bad guys. Vosh and the neo-progressives like Cenk Uyghur, they would call them the bad guys. Putin is the bad guy. China, they're the bad guys because they won't forever yield to the U.S. Meanwhile, the real anti-war activists, the real peace activists like ourselves at RBN, we don't care about these geopolitical agendas. We want peace, even if that peace means Putin gets geopolitical victory. You guys understand that concept? You are not anti-war if you're anti-war only if you achieve your geopolitical objectives. That you're not anti-war if that's the case. We are for peace no matter what. And you guys just saw Claire Daly call for peace, and that was enough to get her called a pro-Russian asset. I saw someone in the chat say Caleb Maupin also put on the list. I saw a stream where Caleb Maupin literally said he wanted nothing but peace in Ukraine. That's why he got the position that he has. But he called Putin apologist. I am called a Putin apologist because we want peace. And peace means the U.S. backing down for fucking once. Especially considering that it was their fault in the first place. One more video I show, and then we get to some comments before we wrap up. Because I put, you guys see, I put famine there as well. Like, I cannot emphasize how insane our leaders are. Like, our Western leaders they're about to be responsible for the death of millions of people. Of millions and millions of people going to poverty. That's not me saying. Let me play you guys this video of this guy explaining the consequences of the U.S. sanctions in their global economic war they were trying to wage against China and Russia. Watch it. Check this out.
The impact of the spike in gas prices is going to be absolutely devastating. The latest prediction for the price cap is it will go up 77% on the 1st of October, taking someone with typical usage from the current £1,971 a year, which was already up over 50%, to £3,500 a year. And then in January, it'll go up again. Now that £1,500 a year spike is simply unaffordable for millions of homes and is likely to put around 10 million people or more into fuel poverty. The impact of it is frankly catastrophic, and intervention is needed and needed now.
So what Kaylin Johnstone said in response to that, she said, people are going to freeze to death because our imperial rulers decided without consulting any of us, no debate, no explanation, that the only way to respond to a war they knowingly provoked was unprecedented acts of economic warfare. History is going to look back at every single person who pushed for escalating with Russia instead of peace. It's not gonna age well. The same way that people look who was pushing the war on terror in the Iraq war, the same way we looked at them, now people are gonna look at the Ukrainian propagandists, the people with the stand with the Ukraine flag, the people who don't advocate for peace like we do. Our rulers are willing to destroy it all in order to prevent a multipolar world. Our capitalist class is willing to light this all shit on fire and allow all of us to die instead of having a geopolitical competitor. And there are many people who support it. And they will call someone like me, a Putin puppet, for simply calling for peace, even if it means we need to halt NATO. So we got the threat of nuclear war that people are warning about, the unbelievable threat of famine that's going to happen in Europe, that's going to happen in Africa, and a lot of countries that they've been still hit hard by COVID. They never properly recovered from COVID. Now they are being asked to sacrifice their people in order to have loyalty to the West and their imperialist cause. How is this not an easy issue to get correct? So let's see. Let's get into some comments, because I think the next story I'm gonna just save for our next live stream tomorrow. But this is, now we saw Claire Daly that was smeared by Ukraine, and you saw her position on NATO and on war. And if you guys haven't seen Claire Daly, she's been consistently amazing on the issue of imperialism, calling out Israel for the war crimes against the Palestinians. Meanwhile, while Claire Daly is calling out NATO, calling out Ukraine, calling out the insane warmongers that are trying to starve the world, do you guys want to know what progressives that we got in the United States? This is the record of the squad under Biden. This is not Fox News talking points. This is not like a Tucker Carlson, like Attack on NBC. These are shit that under Biden, our progressives are responsible for. They voted to expand NATO. They voted for billions to fund this Ukraine proxy war that Claire Daly and we just accurately explained they voted for a global class war, a crackdown on the quality of life on the entirety of the world. And also, they voted for weapons to Ukraine. They voted for billions of weapons, but they're climate activists. AOC claims she's a climate activist, but she voted for billions to fund the Ukraine war. What is the emissions on the Ukraine war? What is the carbon footprint of the Ukraine proxy war that they voted for? They voted to expand the Capitol Police. They helped fund the Iron Dome that Claire Daly called out before. Voted for a domestic terrorism bill that luckily didn't pass because Republicans, you guys know Republicans in the Senate is the only reason we didn't get a new Patriot Act. That's the only reason. So the progressives had this strategy of dragging the Democratic Party to the left. We're going to drag Biden to the left. But this failed strategy actually dragged progressives to the right. Not only do we have this, I left off, you have progressives like Ro Khanna that wants to start a war with China. They have the U.S. position of daring people and calling their bluff. So not only do they fund the Ukraine proxy war, they want to start a war with China over Taiwan. That's the progressives that we have in the United States. No more. We can't have no more of that. And that's why we're trying to install revolutionary discipline, because it's unbelievable that people still defend these imperialists, these Reagan Democrats that call themselves progressives. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I actually got a hard stop. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys want this message to spread, our new initiative, let's get RBN to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be a great goal for us to hit. And I think we can do it. I think we can do it because we have big news coming up soon. we got a lot of great news, and we're not gonna announce it yet. We got a lot of great expansions that we're working on. I'm gonna start Armed Mutual Aid, RBN Mutual Aid in Kansas City. That's why we started here soon. In terms of content creation, we got great news that's coming for you guys here soon. So if you guys want to help us achieve our goal of getting RBN to 30K, please share the stream. Please share. Please like. And if anyone tells a friend about RBN, we can beat the massive social media censorship that we've been hit with. YouTube constantly fuck with our page. We constantly being deranked by the algorithm. People tell us all the time they don't see our notifications. So we can beat that as a community if you guys want to share, like, and subscribe so we can get 30K. And hit the bell so you guys don't miss a live stream. We are not done for today. In 1 hour, Savvy's going to have a major show. I think she's doing a panel. I think she's doing a housing insecurity panel. So Savvy always with the great content. She will be live in 1 hour. 1 hour from now. That's 6 p.m. Eastern time. So we always got more content coming your way. I also will have Q and Hassan on. They was on a few weeks ago. They should join me sometime tomorrow evening. We did do our Saturday live. Q and Hassan will join us, and I would love to get to take on the Ukraine war and a lot of the stuff that's going on. So please support our Patreon. If you guys want to see us continue to expand, I appreciate you guys for the support. The Social Cinema, we sign out. Have a good one, guys.